This is the week my cats have been fixed. Very difficult managing cats after such a procedure. Here I'm looking at an old map of America. We've looked at it in past videos. Maybe it's been years now. And we see the Northwest Territories depicted as parts unknown. This map is from 1772. And we actually have a lot in the West. A lot of these maps have disappeared. We see a place down here called Tiguas, and we see Quivira. And up here, what started my research today was this Mozeemlek country. What is that? Right here it tells us the Baron Lahontan, in his first book, page 125, says that some of the Mozeemlek nation told him that the principal river empties itself into a salt lake 300 leagues in circumference, the mouth of which is about 2 leagues broad. That lower part of the river is adorned with 6 noble cities and 100 towns, great and small. The people call themselves the Tahuglauk or Tahuglauk. And who are these people? Why is there no mention of the Mozeemlek or the Tahuglauk? This is clearly around the Great Salt Lake. There's not that many lakes that fit this description. And here I asked ChatGPT, who were the Mozeemlek? And it doesn't really know. It says it might be a variation on a historic name and pretty worthless. And like I said, it's been years. And here in 2020, this article by Stolen History discusses some findings. And I thought we'd have a little look at that. Thank you for being here. God bless. I love you all, and welcome. So he begins by pondering the same things I am. He's wondering about these people, Tahuglauk and Mozeemlek. He says Googling the words revealed that Google knows what Wikipedia does not, and what ChatGPT does not either, as we just discovered. Surprisingly, there was very little contemporary information pertaining to the topic. At the same time, I found several 19th century books. He read some, but didn't find what he was looking for. However, the Tahuglauk and Mozeemlek were 2 apparently white tribes of Native American people. So this is something very interesting. We discuss who built all these cities. We see maps that show New France, New England, New Spain, and we're tempted to say that these people built them. But as I've discussed in past videos, putting your name on a map over a territory or city or town or building simply was a way to convey ownership. In fact, it was the law. If you want to make claim to something, you have to survey it, map it, and put your name on it. Of course, no native people seem to have been doing this. But who were the native people? Were they the ones we think about today? The ones that have been put on reservations? We've discussed so much over the past years. So many lost facts have been picked up and put back on the table, and this is a big one. The belief that a savage people existed in North America before the arrival of men in tights couldn't be any further from the truth. Also, the story that we shipped tens of thousands of Africans over is also something that seems very unlikely. We've discussed how the black man in North America may have been a native tribe and not a people brought over from another continent. And here we read that these people, the Mozeemlek and Tahuglauk, were white Native American people. Here's a quote. The Tahuglauk wear their beards 2 fingers breadth long. Their garments reach down to their knees. They cover their heads with sharp pointed caps. They always wear a long stick or cane in their hands, which is tipped. They wear a sort of boot upon their legs, which reach up to their knees. Their women never show themselves, which perhaps proceeds from the same principle that prevails in Italy and Spain. And here we read, the lower part of the river is adorned with 6 noble cities, surrounded with stone cemented houses that have no roofs. So this is really advanced. We're discussing noble cities with stone and cement or mortar, no roofs, as if this is post-reset and these people are in fact inhabiting these cities. Question that we often get doing this research: why don't the natives speak about this? Why wouldn't they have lived in these abandoned cities? And here we have an account. And yet that's another point. Why don't they speak about their past? Well, we seem to be missing these people. What happened to the white Native Americans that wore boots up to their knees, pointed caps that sound more European than Native American? In 1776, the Sioux informed Captain Carver there was a nation of white people about the sources of the Missouri who cultivated the ground and possessed arts unknown to other tribes. So here we go. The Sioux. Now the Sioux are talking. And the Sioux are telling this Captain Jonathan Carver that there's a white tribe possesses greater knowledge in the arts, in farming, etc., than that possessed of the other tribes. And is this completely left out of history? Well, to some extent, but here we have this map. And what does this map show us up here in the corner? Well, if we look carefully, we can see these people. Here they are. Well-dressed, nice boots up to their knees, happy children. And this is a pretty damn important clue. A farming, fishing, hunting, artistic people in North America. Again, we have talk of them occupying cities of stone and concrete, and here we can see even the difference of these people. These ones on the left looking more primitive than the ones on the right, but also having a little Roman feel. And is this legit? I think so. And it's unfortunate that it's so difficult to find any information on these people, that it would just be an old map that would leave us these clues. Here we can see some more of these people's culture. Drying fish, building, and again, really well dressed. It just gets better and better. They seem to have it all. And this is a big deal. These are the unspoken, discarded Native American people before the men in tights arrived, seeming like a peaceful, advanced people. A view of a stage of the manner of fishing for curing and drying cod at Newfoundland, cleaning and pressing the oil from the cod livers. Unbelievable. I were to recommend any supplement, just one, it would be cod liver oil, loaded with fat-soluble vitamin A, D, E, and K. And here, these people understood the importance of this. And we have to appreciate that every damn part of the country, with the exception of Utah and Nevada and parts of California, are completely charted. Great Lakes, rivers, coastlines. And here we can see the Sioux, written in French, les Sioux, and we have accounts of the Sioux discussing the advanced white natives practicing modern ways of living. Here we can see an old drawing of some early natives. This man is Tecumseh, and I think this is an important clue in North American history. Okay, next. Here's a map. America Sive Novi Orbis. I asked ChatGPT. It says America Sive Novi Orbis is one of the most famous and is considered one of the first maps to use the name America in 1507. Wow. So here in 1507, we have America, France, down here, Florida, Norumbega, everything charted out. And what we see are cities, castle cities everywhere. Here, as I discussed in a past video, Shilaga must be Chicago. And in this map, we don't see the Great Lakes. Why is everything so intricately mapped? Cities, coastlines, rivers, and yet there's no Great Lakes. Did the Great Lakes have something to do with the past reset? Now again, we looked at how advanced these people were. Very modern seeming people, building cities all throughout North America. And this is the 1500s. There's clearly more, but this is just what was easy to chart from the coastlines. No doubt these cities and towns continue inland. And you'll notice these are not tents, these are castles. Also down here in Mexico, they could have easily depicted pyramids, but we see cities. Cities on the Amazon, cities in Peru, in places that even today are barren. And then there's the parts that don't have cities, and what we always see is a notation of giants. So we have a people building cities and farming and fishing and making cod liver oil. And then we have notations of giants, gigantis, right here. And let me jump to my other map and show you something similar here. Gigantis on the island of California. Gigantis here, also up here. Gigante Island, I believe it's these three here. And in this map, we don't see the Colorado River. The Colorado River should cut through here somewhere, and we don't see it on this map. But we do have mention of noble cities and hundreds of towns. And it wouldn't be until the 1850s that Utah would become a state or be settled. Officially, it becomes a state in the late 1800s. And we have an account of the Mormon people discussing at their general conference that there are empty cities. In specific, the city of Manti, where there are hundreds of empty homes, and they're encouraging their members to take residence in them. And were these people wiped out? Did this wipeout flood and change the direction of the rivers? Did it flood this gulf out, connecting California back to the mainland? Because already in this map, we see that California is not depicted as an island anymore. So let's take a quick pause and look at something else. Okay, so here we can see the Rio Grande spilling into the Gulf of Mexico. And let's follow it up. We see Saint Antonio and many Texas towns. Santa Ana. And we go all the way up here and we see Paducah. And this rung a bell. Let's zoom out. California is still an island. We don't see the Colorado River in this map, unless it's this one or one of these three. And when is this map? Publication date, 1733, London. A map of North America with the European settlements and whatever else is remarkable. There we go, 1733, and we have this incredible mapping of North America. We can see San Francisco over here, depicted as Sir Francis Drake Land. But back to Texas, Paducah. What is up with modern day Paducah? I mean, why would this find its way onto this map? Here we can see cities depicted very simply, a little point with a line under it. Point with a line, point with a line, you can see them now. Very simple depiction of cities and towns on this map. Sometimes dots. And here I've done a search of Paducah, Texas, something I looked at in the past. It's pretty much an abandoned city, very old world. In 2020, the population was about 1,000 people. So they tell us the town was named for Paducah, a city in western Kentucky. We can see this city in Kentucky here. So it's to say this city had the same feel as this one in Kentucky, and they just named it the same thing. Paducah became the county seat in 1892 and was incorporated in 1910. And we can see that since 1910, its population hasn't really changed much. In 1910, there were 1,300 people, and in 2020, there were less. And I don't know if this is the same Paducah, but it's worth noting that there's almost no population here, and there's beautiful architecture. Here we can see some particle board, OSB, over the door, just to show you the condition. And I went through a little phase where I was looking at these abandoned towns in Texas, made of solid brick with the same ornate details we see anywhere else in the world. I guess we may as well have a little look at it. And here we go. Paducah, Texas, laid out in a perfect grid. And let's see if it lines up with our other map. Okay, here's Paducah at the northern tip. And here we go. Paducah. It looks like the Red River. The Red River continues in an easterly direction. So I think we have so many clues that America was much more than the savage land we're told about. There was a lot going on here. And these early maps are proof of this. I think I'll just end with this last map. This one is from 1688. And really interesting, we have the credit given to the Republic de Venezia, or the Venetians, perhaps, or the Phoenicians. And you'll notice most of their mapping is along the waterways. And I've showed this map in the past. Again, we're in the region of Texas, and if we follow this river up, we see this great big roundhouse. And if we keep following it up, it leads us to a super castle, Cefano 24 Village. And I made a video on this in the past, discussing how this may have been Canada. In that video, I said it may have been Winnipeg, but in all fairness, it could be any of these cities along this Red River. Of course, I'm not sure. It may have been this one, Grand Forks. It kind of fits the bill. Or quite possibly this one, Fargo. Are there still grand castles in any of these cities? I'm sure there are. Every city and town has a beautiful courthouse, which may have been depicted as a castle in the past. So I think I'll take one more pause and try to squeeze in a final segment. Here we can see a proof that we may not be living in the time we think we are. We can see the year Anno J643. And whoever revised our history was well aware of this, as we see the writers of history calling such dates 1643. And do we really know what time this is? Of course, there's no such thing as time, only cycles. Time is completely made up. Here I showed a grocery store in North America that says established in 888. And here we can see that W&J Jones Grocers may refer to a specific family-run grocery store or chain. However, it's challenging to provide a precise history. Pretty worthless. But that's why we don't rely on AI. So I think I'll leave it there for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Please share your thoughts. I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you soon.